got a lot to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, and if I sound like I'm a little under the weather, it's because I am. It's been pretty chilly here in Texas lately, and I think I caught a bug. But look at this. This is an amazing orb capture from Juanito 1. And a lot of people are skeptical of Juanito's, mini contacts that he's captured on camera. Hey, fair enough, but this thing is actually moving. This is from a live stream he did on Facebook. And you can clearly see this orb moving. Here, it's very clear right around here. You can clearly see this thing moving. And look at it, just amazing, bright, pulsing thing. Damn, that's crazy. But yeah, look at that. You can clearly see it moving right there. That is wild. Going back and forth. Juanito gets so many crazy captures, but this is one of the craziest of them all. If this is legit, if Juanito is on the level, wow, what an amazing orb capture. So yeah, let me know if you think Juanito's on the level and if this is a real orb capture on camera on a live stream. But I think that's just phenomenal. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'll see what else is going on today. Tim Burchett talking about USOs on CNN.
Extraterrestrial life on planet Earth. One of the things you said in an interview, you talked about a conversation you had with a U.S. Admiral. They tell me something's moving at hundreds of miles an hour underwater, as large as a football field underwater. This was a documented case, and I have an Admiral telling me this stuff. What do you believe exists on Earth in terms of extraterrestrial life, and what have you seen proof of?
Well, there's some things I've seen proof of that I can't discuss, and I've urged the White House to disclose these things. You know, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars researching something, and then you have one group telling us they don't exist, and I have the best pilots in the world telling me, Tim, this thing was 14 feet from my canopy, and he did this, and I've seen things that I wish the public could see. There's just a lot of unknowns. And again, they tell us they don't exist, but then they issue redacted reports, and they're still studying. Almost every one of our alphabet agencies has that. And we had testimony that said they have a recovery unit. Now, what are they recovering? I'd like to know. It's our tax dollars. We have a right to know. And when government thinks that we can't handle what's going on out there, that's when government's gotten a little too big, and we need to cut their wings off. And right now they're spending, our Pentagon has got all this dark money. You have the alphabet agency studying these things. One group will tell us they exist, the other one doesn't. I just think it's time that we have total disclosure. And you all in the press ought to be for transparency and disclosure. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, so about that, the White House coming forward with UFO disclosure, UK filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee is saying, yeah, that's actually on the table. Mark Christopher Lee is the director, he's the director of The Last Grail Hunter, writer of The King of UFOs, writer of Inspired the 30-Second Song Movie, and UFO Encounters of the Fifth Kind. So, other documentaries as well. So, a UFO filmmaker who says that he was contacted by the Trump administration, an insider in the Trump administration, who says President Donald Trump has already written an historic UFO disclosure speech confirming humanity is not alone. Lee initially said the speech was planned for a UN address, then later claimed the insider provided a specific date, July 8th, 2026, tied to the Roswell anniversary. So what do you think? Could Trump come out with UFO disclosure? I am very skeptical of that. However, I would say that what if the lady's prophecy is true, right? Chris Bledsoe's the lady, that a new understanding would enter, mankind in 2026. What if the powers that be realize they have to get out ahead of this story because there's no holding it back any longer? whether it's the drip drip of UFO whistleblowers or the phenomenon itself forcing disclosure. Maybe we will get official UFO disclosure from the president. It is theoretically possible, but again, I'm not holding my breath. So let me know what you guys think. All right, yeah. Meanwhile, David Paulides appeared on Ross Coulthart, and David Haith gives a good breakdown of part of that here. Leading paranormal investigator claims that NASA accepts that interdimensional portals exist and has an 8-scientist panel meeting every month to study how to use them in warfare. Use portals in warfare. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure if there are portals, then that is the first thing they would do with them, sadly. David Paulides, who researches UAPs, Bigfoot, and missing persons, said NASA has advised that portals are real. They have a group of 8 physicists that work for NASA, and they get together every month and they talk about portals. And one of those scientists has talked to me and said, Dave, it's not a question of do portals exist. We're actually talking about portals and how to use them offensively in battle. The same guy told me, Dave, I think that some of the people you've talked about in your Missing 411 are taken by way of portals because nobody ever sees it happening. But you turn your head and then all of a sudden they're gone. So yeah, could that be, the mechanism responsible for the Missing 411 phenomenon, this technology of using portals or something like that? Yeah, I guess so. It's sad that if this phenomenon does exist or this, ability does exist, that the first thing the powers that be would do would be to weaponize it. But that is how they do it. David also talks about Bigfoot.
Well, when we finished that first day of 8 drawings, his wife was there, who's also a special agent. We all just looked at each other and said, we all thought that these were apes or gorillas. These all have a human quality to their face. It was stunning. Yeah. And the witnesses each stated that's exactly what we saw.
It's interesting you should say that, because I was watching your film, and when you see Harvey's images, his drawings, he imbues the beings with a look of intelligence in their eyes. They're not just beasts. They're not dumb animals. They are intelligent, apparently emotional, compassionate animals. Is that your impression?
So I wouldn't call them animals, but beings. I would say that they are highly intelligent because they have the ability to think strategically. And that's exemplified by how they maneuver around you when you're in the woods, how they can evade things that we don't quite understand, like game cameras.
Anyway, he had a lot more to say, and I'll link to this, and you can listen to David talk about Bigfoot at your leisure. Meanwhile, Representative Eric Burleson is trying to, advance the cause of UAP disclosure with the UAP Disclosure Act. They've been trying to get this thing going for years. And, technically they've got it going. There is a UAP Disclosure Act that got signed into law, but it was totally neutered. But he is still pushing it forward, and he says, history shows that disclosure only occurs when American people demand answers. That is why I am pushing to pass the UAP Disclosure Act and strengthen protections for whistleblowers. Well, Godspeed, Eric. I hope you get it done. I hope this is the year that the UAP Disclosure Act, does get passed in its robust version. But again, I'm not holding my breath on that. But hey, let me know if you guys are a little bit more optimistic. Meanwhile, could you have a backup out there somewhere?
Are you going to make me have to tell that story? Huh. No. I was just, that came up through for another reason. And I was astounded to discover that I indeed, it has another person living concurrently in this era. I was astounded to discover. I should have known better. And when I asked Trejo about why this, he says, well, that's just a backup in case you don't do what you're supposed to.
Now, I'm not 100% on past lives, although that is definitely where the near-death experience information goes. Most near-death experiencers do come away from those experiences with the idea that there are past lives and so on. But Robert Monroe here, from the Monroe Institute, is saying that actually you don't have to live, lives one to the next, that there could be concurrent lives here on this earth. And I've heard that elsewhere. And I think that's a really fascinating concept. And the idea that you could have a backup out there in case you don't do what you're supposed to do. Last but not least, have you ever tried to say goodbye to an elephant, but it just wouldn't let you go? Look at this guy. Oh my, okay, yeah, he's trying to get away on his bike, but that elephant is not having it. All right, let me know what you think about this awesome dude and his elephant. And everything else covered in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support the channel, buy a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store. Become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really do appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.